Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's nice. Dude, straight up.
Stephen SDI City Guide, take one.
Detroit is one of those cities that will make you a better person if you can make it to the inside. When you have somebody ask why Detroit, I feel like any of the words that come out of my mouth don't do why Detroit justice. Daily, I'm internally searching for that reason. And that's where I point my lens to.
I think leaving my house and just instantly just kind of feeling like where to drive is a common thought in my mind. Where is the light falling? Where are the clouds? Where haven't I seen for a while? And I'm not necessarily certain where we're going today.
I think moving from California into Detroit in 2005 was a very interesting time in the city's history. People on the outside seemed to only know the city for its ruins, for its vacancy. Telling my friends and my family that I was moving to Detroit in 2005, people almost like took a step back and they're like, ugh, why? And I'm like, that right there needs to be unpacked. How I show up is really based on the success of a photojournalist. In photography, you only get these little lines like, go to this place and make a photograph. And working for the Detroit Free Press, you'd have these opportunities to photograph people who didn't know you at all. And your goal is to find a moment that can speak to the situation and to the world through one image. Portraits to me are my own connection to the people in front of me. Day one, Detroit, the vacancy of the buildings, of course, grabbed my attention, as it does most people. But fortunately, personal relationships in the city drew my lens towards finding more and more of the people that call Detroit home. The vacant home is an image that's in everyone's mind. It's easy to think that you should just bulldoze them. But those vacant homes, to me, offer beautiful life if you can rehab them. One example of that was on the east side. Library Street Collective is rehabbing and bringing the community with them on this massive site. They have purchased an old church from the early 1900s, 2 homes that they're connecting with this incredible deck, going to be 2 different restaurants, and they're building a sculpture garden for the late Charles McGee, who is one of Detroit's most famous artists. So this was the site we had to go to. We met with Mike, the project manager of the Shepherd, and he showed us around this amazing development. Was this house abandoned or vacant or was it in disrepair or were people living there?
It actually, it's kind of left for dead.
They've taken this old church and created a beautiful opportunity to show art. It's more than an art gallery because it's also a skate park. It's a community center. It's a place for traveling artists to visit and collaborate with local artists.
It speaks towards how artistic the city has been for decades.
Well, I think the Shepherd's a great example of that we shouldn't bulldoze everything that isn't occupied. Because the buildings that we have left are a legacy in themselves. The architecture in Detroit, a lot of it is born in a time of the city's history where Detroit almost had more money than New York and Los Angeles combined. So architects were not only getting their feet wet building some of these big buildings, but the biggest names were coming here with the most amount of money to make the best buildings the United States had. You say the word Rome, and you don't need to know where you are in Rome to appreciate that you're in Rome. And the same thing is about Detroit. It doesn't matter what block you're on. You're in the city and you're looking for that experience. being at the top of the Penobscot Tower, you are instantly enveloped with the grandiose river that we have, the iconic 1920s and 1930s architecture, the scale of the suburbs, the scale of the neighborhoods, the spoke wheels that go off from campus marshes, most people's entry points to the city. And the billions invested from Bedrock, from Dan Gilbert, from other people look incredible. But it's the local stories that are the most important part. It's the people who we need to get to with everything we have so that those narratives are fortified before the next leg up. Photographing these epic buildings is there's photographers on the daily posting beautiful shots of the Penobscot, of the Guardian, the Buell Building. You could go down the list and there's 20 that are better than any other city I've seen. Even though those buildings are so beautiful to photograph, I still believe it's the people of Detroit who are the monuments of our city. After the Penobscot, we went to Southwest, clearly a mecca of great tacos. At La Posada, I met with Carlos and finally had a chance to have a great conversation with him about his background, moving from Mexico City to Detroit.
So you got cabeza? No. These are cabeza tacos.
See what the pig was thinking? Hopefully this article is really hopefully a kind of an entry point to conversations hopefully in the communities where the magazine goes. Like there's stuff to unpack that we just need to unpack.
There's so much to talk about in the unknown history of Detroit. But to Detroiters, it's the only thing that they know. Familiar with Jeanette Pierce?
Oh, I love Jeanette, yeah.
So Jeanette told me something a long time ago that sticks with me all the time. That Detroit is not a blank canvas. Instead, it's a work of art that has layers and layers of paint, history behind it. And it's not until you can understand what that work of art looks like, you can add your mark. It's like you have to be here for a bit first.
Yeah.
Absorb everything that's going around. Listen, learn, live. Be part of the city. And then you can add your mark.
Dude, tacos. The Chronicles at La Posada, man.
I'm just one lens, but it's not about one camera or one archive. It's about the collection of our voices coming together to be thankful, humble, and ready to learn. Not only hearing other people's experiences, but each of our experiences are how we see life. That's why I have a camera. I feel like it's the calling I have inside of me. And I welcome you to the April edition of Our Magazine to read about it.